there are certain political figures whom I don't admire, but I find interesting. I find fascinating because you can make so much fun of them. And they sit normally on the right of politics because they espouse a version of conservatism which I find repulsive. And I'm about to talk about one of those blokes today because I'm talking about Senator Ralph Babet, who, for whatever reason, is a right-wing crazy man. And I know that you will enjoy this little dipping into conservatism here in Australia through the eyes of Ralph Babet. This is a Tony Tompkins show where facts matter because you matter. And also it's an opportunity just to have a little bit of fun. So I'm going to talk about Senator Ralph today because he's a odd man, to say the least. And he's part of Clive Palmer's Uniting Australia Party, or whatever they're called. You'll find out in a moment as I do this introduction. We're going to show you a little bit about what Ralph is about. And I know that he's not going to object to anything that I say because he believes in free speech. And I'm exercising my free speech now by referring to Babet as the rabbit. And I hope that he finds his way down his own Babet hole because he's a wee bit of an embarrassment here in Australia. But he does represent what sits on the right wing, along with our friend, our colleague, our buddy, Senator Antic, his buddy, and also, of course, Pauline Hanson. And it's worth noting at the moment, too, that there are strong indicators that Pauline Hanson is improving her position in the public eye, mainly because I guess there's kind of like a Nigel Farage effect happening here in Australia, and just need to be mindful of that, and I'm going to keep my eye on it over time. But I'm just going to play. So the reason why I'm playing this video is I'm going to talk about why Senator Babet is in the news at this particular point in time. So we'll start with...
He was murdered for speaking. His wife is now a widow. His children, fatherless. And the radicals, they cheer. They flood the internet with tasteless videos of their jubilation. They smile, they sing, they celebrate. These are not people looking for dialogue, tolerance, or mutual respect. These are demons draped in human skin. They dance on his grave. And you know what? They'd dance on yours too if they could. The book of Isaiah says, "Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness." And that is exactly what we see here. This ideology is our enemy, for it is the enemy of God and what is right.
Don't you love the way this folks are saying, this is our enemy? So, you know, he's there busily fighting against people like myself who clearly have a covering of skin that is, I don't know, I guess we're envious of everything that he has to offer, particularly around his Christian faith. So that's Ralph. And the other thing too, I just wanted to bring up this particular post too, which tells us, I guess, all that we need to know. This is on his Facebook page. The radical left is being weaponised against the nation state. Whatever does that mean? So he's occupying a position which we can only describe as Trumpism. And he's not going to, he's got a few years to go, I think, in the Senate. And hopefully he'll be booted at the end of all of that because there's a waste of space. But he is in the news because of this. Melbourne charity receives hate mail after Senator and others post contact details in wake of Charlie Kirk killing. So we've just heard what he had to say about that, all based on religious, and blaming the left when, in actual fact, I'm not going to go into it again, I've done it before, there was no indication that this particular assassin was actually left or right. But that's where they jumped to. This is the Trump playbook, and this is where Babet was at. Ralph Babet posted, and this is the sort of terrible human being that he is. And this exemplifies that very fact. Ralph Babet posts charity contact details in response to comments about Kirk by a former worker who is no longer employed there and urges a sacking. That is. I'm not going to comment about the way he looks, but is revolting, an absolutely revolting individual in more ways than one. After Charlie Kirk was assassinated in the US, a small mental health charity based in Melbourne was alarmed to find itself the target of people outraged at commentary about his death. The phone calls and messages began after the organisation contact details were shared, including by the Australian Senator Ralph Babet. What a pisser, who posted the charity's phone number, email address and website on his social media. And why would, if you believe in free speech, mate, whatever happened just to integrity, to morality, to all those Christian values that you say you adhere to, which you don't, you're a liar and you're a hypocrite. Babet identified the charity, VMIAC, as the potential workplace of Grace, who was accused of celebrating Kirk's death. The senator, who had separately written on his social media, "We are at war," which is that stuff I've just cited to you, after Kirk's death, urged his followers to contact the organisation and push for Grace to be sacked. Parts of the post were published in a Daily Mail article. Trust the Daily Mail. Grace had left the charity a year ago, still the angry messages flooded in. There have been thousands, said Verinder Eden, the chief executive of VMIAC. Some of the voicemails in particular were highly distressing. Babet made a number of posts about people he deemed critical of Kirk, but most were about Grace, who has a modest social media following and incidentally, folks, is no longer working there. After Kirk's death, she commented on TikTok, "Let's never forget that Charles Kirk used a whole head to defend your Second Amendment right to own guns." An inappropriate statement, and I'm not going to defend her for a statement, but what I am going to defend is the fact that she should not, and the organisation should not, be outed by somebody else like Babet, particularly a person of power and influence, as limited as that might be. In a subsequent post, she said, "This wouldn't have happened if he hadn't had continued to abuse people the way he did." The next day, she argued, it's not wrong or unethical or unkind to laugh at the misfortunes of terrible people. Charlie Kirk incited violence, that's what he did, and then that came back to haunt him. It's got nothing to do with the people who are laughing and joking about him because of human water fountain. Now, I disagree with all of the comments that she made. I'm not here to support her around that. What I am concerned about is the fact that Babet chose to use this opportunity in order to ingratiate himself with the right wing, which is what they do, and that it is wrong, definitely wrong, to try and out people, because not only does it mean that some of those people lose their jobs, in this case this woman wasn't employed there anymore anyway, but what it does is it means that the crazy people, the people like Babet, start to attack the organisation and start to attack these people. And as a result of this sort of behaviour by Babet, people may die. And it's serious. And only a moron would do what he has done in order to devalue this woman, as lousy as her statements were made. Two wrongs don't make a right, I guess. That's the point. So Babet wrote on X, "This is beyond disturbing. I urge you to contact her employer and voice your concern. I'll be doing the same thing in the morning. People like this are dangerous. Babet, people like you are dangerous. Their unhinged attitudes will only incite more political assassinations if left unchecked. The only appropriate outcome is for the woman to be removed from the position at this organisation if she is indeed employed there." And she wasn't. Some of Grace's comments were subsequently published by news.com.au in the Daily Mail. Of course they were. They're right wing. The charity's staff had to open the hate mail it received, answer the phone calls and listen to the voicemails because they came through the same channels clients used to seek help. All of our employees have identified as having lived experiences of mental health or distress. And so here there's been a fair bit of, "You're all crazy, you should all be locked up," Eden said of the messages. Asked what she thought about the involvement of a senator, Eden said, "They're holding us to a standard that they're not willing to hold up themselves. It feels incredibly hypocritical to me that Babet, is asking for his freedom of speech to have a go at us, but nobody else is allowed their freedom of speech. And that is a relevant point too. After Babet's post, another person the charity didn't know posted the contact details of the organisation's board. The phone number of the staff member was also shared. Babet later emailed the managing company of another individual, an online commentator, who had made a video criticising Babet and accusing him of doxing Grace. And I'm accusing him of the same thing. And if you want to have a go at me, mate, feel free. The person argued in their video that Babet was involved in the weaponisation of his power as a senator to legitimise the abuse of private citizens. Babet posted details of that person's social media channel on X, along with the letters he had sent to their managing agency. And I'm just inviting him, have a go at me, buddy. I couldn't give a shit. In the letter, Babet asked the agency if it supported the man's views, and by extension the views of Grace, whom he has, in our opinion, defended. The senator said his own actions in relation to Grace has been mischaracterized. No, it hasn't, you wanker. This doxing claim is factually inaccurate, the letter said. Senator Babet did not reveal any private or personal information. He merely shared a video that Grace had herself uploaded publicly to TikTok. The response to comments to Kirk's death has not been as extreme in Australia as the US, where teachers, firefighters, and so on, the article goes on. So my point is that this doxing effort by Ralph Rabbit is woeful, and that politicians for doing this should be kept to account. You're a public figure, man. As disgraceful and as disgusting as you are still a public figure, and you have responsibilities as such. And if you're going to flagrantly contravene your rights, and that includes remembering the fact that we, as taxpayers, pay for you to do your job. But if this is how you're going to do the job, the only alternative in a democracy is to make sure that we vote you out next time, which I hope people will. He's a horrible man, along with Clive Palmer, who, had no votes didn't win any seats last time, and never will again. So, but he's there, and we must make a stand against him because it's important that we do. So let me know what you think about all of that rant about Ralph Rabbit, and any comments that you've got, please put them in the comment section below. Naturally, I would be pleased to hear from you. In the meantime, take care.